4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the place yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Zach Gelb Show, right here on the Infinity Sports Network. We're coming to you live on this Friday, 855-212-3230. 4227 is the number to jump on in, 855-212-4227. You can always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter, at Zach Gelb, ZACHGELB. Got Stuart Kovacs, got Moist Mike, rocking and rolling with you on this Friday all the way up until 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific today. Coming up 20 minutes from now, the general manager of the defending world champion Denver Nuggets, Calvin Booth, is going to stop by. But let's start off with some basketball, and we start off with the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks are officially back, and I'm going to start with Leon Rose. Leon Rose, the president of the Knicks, has done the impossible. He has saved the Knicks. For so many years, basically 20-plus years, the Knicks were a punchline to every joke. The Knicks were a circus. Leon Rose comes in, the big-time agent. A lot of people didn't like the hire. A lot of people didn't think James Dolan was doing the right thing. And to James Dolan's credit, this has worked out in a big-time way. Where in 3 out of the last 4 years, the Knicks have been a playoff team. Leon Rose has brought respect. He has brought credibility, and he has brought consistency to this organization. And it is amazing the moves that he has made. Because quite frankly, you look at this roster, and this team probably shouldn't be a number 2 seed. This team, in all likelihood, I think is going to the Eastern Conference Finals, and that's no disrespect to the Pacers. I think the Pacers are going to give them a heck of a series. It's going to go 6 or 7 games. I just think the Knicks are better. And the biggest move that Leon Rose was criticized for was signing Jalen Brunson to a 4-year, $100+ million contract. And nobody knows Jalen Brunson better than Leon Rose, because the Rose family and the Brunson family have known each other for many, many years, because Rick's Brunson, who is Jalen's father, was Leon's first ever client. So it's a pretty damn cool story to see. And you see the fingerprints of Leon Rose all on this roster. Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, Isaiah Hardenstein, OG Anunoby. Like, you look at this roster, that's not a typical roster that ends up being a 2 seed. That's not a typical roster that ends up potentially going to an Eastern Conference final. And I know I shouldn't put the cart before the horse, but that's how I think today. When you know that it's going to be Knicks and Pacers, and the winner, in all likelihood, will be going up against the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. So this has just been remarkable what the Knicks have done. And I know a lot of people today are going to give all the credit to Jalen Brunson. Absolutely, it starts with stars. It starts with players. Because Jalen Brunson, to his credit, went from being a good player to a great player. And he had some missed free throws last night, but in the big moments, he was clutch. In the big moments when he needed to make his free throws, he did. And in what was a crazy game, the Knicks showed why they were the tougher, why they were the more physical, and they were in the better shape compared to the Sixers. Like, look at the ebbs and flows of that game. I was at that game last night at the Wells Fargo Center, which, by the way, what a raucous atmosphere. I don't condone fighting. I think people that fight at sports games are some of the biggest morons on the planet. But that atmosphere last night, there was a ton of Knicks fans. Obviously, there were a ton of Sixers fans. And it was almost as if everyone just said, we're going to throw down at one point during that game. With 4:20 left in the first quarter, the Sixer fan came running up to 2 Knicks fans that were sitting in front of me and was like doing the whole hold me back, bro, but he was trying to fight them. When you were leaving the stadium last night, it was just random fights that were breaking out. Heck, at halftime, I always find it funny when the older guy gets into a fight, and it's an older guy that is really out of shape, and you're saying to yourself, why are you getting into a fight? Like, you should be mature. You should understand your surroundings. You shouldn't put yourself in a position to fight. But there was this guy, he must have been 60 years old. He was extremely round. And he was not in good physical shape. Like, if this was a donut eating contest or a hot dog eating contest, yeah, you'd be my first pick. But when I saw this guy getting dragged out of the stadium by 20 security guards, I go, what did you think was going to happen if you elected to throw the first punch, which this guy did? And you know what's crazy, too? Everyone right away, because when I saw this fight go down, at first my friend goes, oh, it must be a famous person. Because there was like 50 people surrounding this guy with cameras chasing after him. And you would think that'd be like, right, the paparazzi feel chasing after a famous person, but it wasn't. It was everyone now tries to record things to put them on social media and to kind of show the fights that were going on. And I actually was about to record a fight last night because when I was leaving, there was a buildup of people that were just standing there because there was a fight going on in front of us. And as I was using my big frame to kind of box people out and get a camera up there, I realized I know one of the people that were involved in the fights. I went to college with the guy. I couldn't believe it. So that environment was a zoo last night. But let's not get away from the biggest talking point of that game. And you left that game last night with how crazy it was in the first quarter, where it looked like the Knicks were going to run him off the court. And then Buddy Hield looked like he was saving the Sixers season in the second quarter. 17 points. It was wild. And then Nick Nurse, Nick Nurse is a good coach. Let me give Nick Nurse credit first. He's a good coach. I know he did a lot of whining in this series. Nick Nurse has won an NBA championship in Toronto when he had one star in Kawhi Leonard, which is very tough to do in this league. But how did Nick Nurse not put Buddy Hield in the game in the third quarter? Like, I get it. Buddy Hield is not this great player. He is not someone that you're going to consistently rely on if you're the Sixers, but you sometimes just have to go to the hot hand. But then when the game was starting to look like it was going to go the Sixers' way, where they were up by 10, the Knicks showed their resiliency. The Knicks fought back. And then when that game was there for the taking, in the final 5 minutes, and I know it got close at the end, in the final 30 seconds, like all these games do, Josh Hart, of all people, who didn't want to take the three-point shot, but he was so open, he took the three-point shot and he made it. And that's the other thing, too. I know it's one thing to be a great college team. Like, you look at some of those Villanova teams with the names that are on this team, Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, obviously, and Dante DiVincenzo. If you would have told me after their run together at Villanova that this group, and I get it, Jalen Brunson was the player of the year in college basketball, but that this group would go on to be the main faces of a 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, I would have never believed it. Never. And out of anyone on national radio, I don't think anyone has seen more of Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, and Dante DiVincenzo than yours truly, because that was in the height of when I was living in Philadelphia. Like, I remember being in Buffalo for the NCAA tournament where Nova lost in the first weekend, and that's when I started to realize how damn good Dante DiVincenzo was. And how he has hops, how he's a smooth three-point shooter. Josh Hart, look at his motor. That dude, there's no way he should be getting like 12 or 13 rebounds a game. He was an offensive rebounding machine in this series. And then Jalen Brunson is Jalen Brunson. He is a star. And the Knicks aren't done building. Leon Rose has done this in a meticulous way. I do think there are limitations to what this Knicks team can do. Can this Knicks team get to an NBA Finals this year? Yeah. Do I think they will? No. I think they're going to beat the Pacers in 6 or 7. I think they're then going to lose to the Celtics in 6. And then after they lose to the Celtics in 6, there will be talk about getting another star. Whether that's Devin Booker, whether that's Paul George, you know the names that we could speculate. But right now, for the first time in a while, we don't need to speculate on what the Knicks' future can be. Because we could appreciate what the Knicks are doing right now and what they have consistently done 3 out of the last 4 seasons, which has been be in the postseason. They have brought this franchise back. Leon Rose has made this team respectable again. And all these players right now are taking that next step in their NBA career. It starts with Jalen Brunson. It's echoed by OG Anunoby. It's echoed by Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo. You could go on and on and on. Isaiah Hardenstein, on the players on this roster that are just giving it their all, and they are exceeding expectations. And it is a beautiful thing because the Knicks fan is a proud fan. The Knicks fan is a loyal fan. But the Knicks fan, for so many years, for 20 plus years, was beaten down, and you never thought that this team was going to be able to succeed again. I know some people say, oh, it's premature. Like, why are they celebrating like they just won an NBA championship after winning a first-round series? Do you know how many times the Knicks fan was embarrassed? Do you know how many times the Knicks fan knew that their franchise was a big, fat joke? And it's crazy what one unlikely move, what one out-of-the-box move can create this tremendous domino effect that we're now seeing. And it all started with the New York Knicks hiring their president, Leon Rose, saying, get out of the agent game, come run the Knicks, and look what he's done in just having his fingerprints all on the roster. It is so damn special. It's so damn cool. And that was an awesome series between the Knicks and the Sixers. There's a lot of times in the NBA, and I won't gas up the NBA just to try to get segments done on the radio, but there's a lot of time in the NBA where I am bored by these first-round series. That Knicks-Sixers series with the Game 2 choke job by the Sixers, the Game 5 choke job by the Knicks, and just these crazy finishes, that was awesome. That was really bleeping cool. And I know some of the passion gets crazy by the fans, and you shouldn't be fighting, but to see the passion from both of these fan bases and how much was on the line for an opening round series was pretty bleeping awesome. So congratulations to the Knicks. It's really cool to see. And I'll share one more story with you too. Because after it was Game 4, I reached out to Jay Wright. And Jay Wright actually got back to me after Game 5, the former Villanova coach. And he was talking about his former Nova players that are on the Knicks, and Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo. He said they put up their attempts. They'll make mistakes at times down the stretch, but all three of these guys, they have no fear of failure. It's an attitude. And he hit the nail right on the head. To turn around a team like the Knicks, there's going to be some bad moments. You got to have no fear of failure. And when you get knocked down, you have to get back up and you have to get tougher. And that Nova attitude has been brought to the NBA. And when no one thought it could lead to a level like this, it's leading to a level where people are now starting to wonder, will the Knicks be in the NBA Finals this year? Once again, I don't think they will be. But the fact that we could even have that conversation shows the big-time return of the New York Knicks. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We will take a timeout. When we come on back, the general manager of the Denver Nuggets is Calvin Booth. His team is looking to go back-to-back as NBA champions, and he'll join us in 5 minutes right here on the Zach Gelb Show. But first, Battle Creek, Michigan, 1963. Kellogg's and Post, sworn cereal rivals, race to create a pastry that will change the face of breakfast forever. A wild, imaginative tale of ambition, betrayal, and menacing milkmen, sweetened with the artificial ingredients. Unfrosted stars Jerry Seinfeld in his directorial film debut. It features a supporting cast of comedian greats, including Melissa McCarthy, Jim Gaffigan, Hugh Grant, Amy Schumer, Max Greenfield, Christian Slater, Sarah Cooper, Bill Burr, who's hilarious, and so many more. Streaming now, only on Netflix.
You're in a 4.5 minute break. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is the Infinity Sports Network. We open up the show talking about the New York Knicks being back as they will advance the second round of the playoffs, and they'll go up against the Indiana Pacers. We're also getting set for another second round series. Denver is looking to go back-to-back as NBA champions, and what a matchup this is going to be. A lot of big names in this series. Starting with Nikola Jokic, you have Jamal Murray on the other side. Anthony Edwards has turned into one of the better players in the league. It is the Timberwolves and it is the Nuggets, and it gets underway tomorrow evening. And now joining us is the defending champion, general manager of the Denver Nuggets, and that is Calvin Booth. Kind enough to join us once again on the Zach Gelb Show. Calvin, always appreciate the time. Thanks so much for doing this, and how you been?
I've been good. Thanks for having me on, Zach.
I appreciate you coming on. Let me start you off with Jamal Murray. We've talked a lot throughout the years about the type of player that he could be, and you know the moments that he's had. But to see what he was able to do, clutch shot after clutch shot up against the Lakers, just what comes to mind for you when you reflect on what Murray was able to do in round one?
I mean, it just always comes down to his mental toughness, his desire to make plays and under pressure. And I think he just keeps on rising and getting better throughout the years. So there's never a time he's really disappointed in that kind of scenario.
Do you think he gets the proper respect? Because I feel like he's disrespected the fact that everyone knows how good he is and the guy still hasn't been an all-star in the NBA so far.
Absolutely not. I feel like, obviously I'm speaking selfishly, but I think we have the best point guard in the league. And so for him not to be an all-star is just like it's laughable. But, it is what it is. The way the system is set up right now, you put almost double weight into the regular season with all-star and then all NBA being voted for after the regular season. So, maybe it's something as a league we should look at.
And then let me get to obviously your best player in Nikola Jokic. We all know what he's been able to do as the general manager of the Nuggets. Calvin Booth is here with us. Does anything surprise you anymore with Joker? Because I'm running out of ways to describe him because each and every night I watch him, I just walk away saying, wow, wow, wow.
Yeah, I think we just get used to seeing the extraordinary with him. And hopefully we never get too used to it because it's just something that's amazing to watch it night in and night out. And he, again, continues to raise levels every year in every series.
It's amazing to me, and I don't think this is the majority, but some say, oh, well, it's boring to watch Nikola Jokic. Like, I'm sure you've heard that. I'm not saying it, to be clear. You know that. But it's amazing to me how some people still try to take some jabs and still try to slight your big fella.
Yeah, maybe it's a matter of preference. I know some people like to see the high-flying act, but there's also a segment of people that like to see really smart basketball and great passing and decision-making and somebody that can use their mind to get things done on the court.
You've been around this game for a long time, from many different parts and many different roles in this game. I'm just wondering, as someone that is a basketball lifer like yourself, when you have someone that's on his way to being one of the greatest players ever, already a 2-time MVP, probably going to be a 3-time after this year. We know he's already won 1 championship. He has the finals MVP. What are you able to learn when you watch Nikola Jokic play?
I just think how much the mental part of the game matters, the preparation you put into it matters, because the level he plays at and the efficiency level that's accomplished at every game, it takes the skill and the athleticism and the body and the mind.
Talking to Calvin Booth right now, the general manager of the Denver Nuggets. Denver gets set for the second round of the postseason going up against Minnesota tomorrow. Calvin, why has your team not had any complacency? Sometimes a team gets over the mountain, over the hump. They win a championship, and they don't come back as strong the following season. Right now, most people are picking you to repeat as champion. So why has this team not taken a step back at all?
I think the leadership of, Coach Malone, and I believe the starting lineup, Nikola obviously being the leader of that. I think Nikola said it in a recent press conference, winning has become a lifestyle for this team, and I think they expect to win, and they want to keep doing it. So hopefully we're able to get there again.
Let me ask you about Michael Porter Jr. Clearly a lot out of his control is going on off the court with this family. He didn't miss a beat, though, on the court. What does that kind of say about his mental toughness? I know what's going on off the court has nothing to really do with him doing anything wrong, but it's still his family, and from a human emotion side, you wonder if that was going to impact his game at all, and it hasn't looked like it has.
No, he's been fantastic, and we wouldn't be out of this series without him. Stepped up time after time to make big shots, rebounded the ball at a really high level, and I just think his mental toughness and the fact that his pride, has a lot of pride in his performance. Now, I don't think he was necessarily thrilled with the way last year ended from an individual standpoint, efficiency-wise. Of course, he was very happy for us to win a championship, but I think he thought he could play a lot better, and he has this playoffs.
Talking to Calvin Booth right now. I know this is the nature of the sport when you've been involved in it this long. There's so many relationships, and you go up against people that you know very well. You were in the Minnesota organization. Obviously, you being in Denver, you have a close relationship with Tim Connolly, who's now running the Timberwolves. Is it at all bizarre when you get set to go up against them, just with some of the personal relationships knowing both sides of it?
I think it's normalized. I think last year was definitely a little bit different, but I think this year both teams are focused on trying to get to the next round, and we've kind of gotten accustomed to the new setup here. And obviously after whoever wins the series and the series concludes, everybody will go back to having the relationships they had before the series. But I think you're going to see two teams that are really wanting to compete at a high level, and both teams that want to make the Western Conference Finals. So hopefully it's spirited and competitive.
I know it's only a second-round series. You talk about the Western Conference Finals. This has a Western Conference Finals feel to it. Do you agree with that? Just wondering.
Yeah, I think by the nature of us being the returning champions, and I think the kind of season Minnesota had, I think that's why you're going to have that feel. I mean, last year when we played Phoenix, it was almost the same kind of feeling because we had both teams were kind of way up there and their chances to win the title, and we were able to prevail, and we went on to win it. So I think the West is just so tough that, it's going to be like that. I think next round, whether it's the Clippers or Dallas that advance, next on the other side of the bracket, rather, I think it's going to have the same feeling between those two teams in Oklahoma City.
When you just having the respect you have for the game and you get ready, right, for this matchup, when you look at Anthony Edwards and his stardom has taken a big step this year, people are saying he could be a future face of the league. Just what are you seeing out of Anthony Edwards right now?
I think his explosiveness athletically, and also explosiveness and his ability to score 25 points in 8 minutes. I think that's what's terrifying with him as a player. And we've seen those moments playing against him over the last few years. Hopefully we have the defenders and the game plan to limit those moments, but it can happen at any time.
Yeah, I want to ask you this because the last few days people are talking about who's the next face of the NBA. Some people have thrown Anthony Edwards into that conversation. You have the best player in Nikola Jokic. Do you feel like the player you have in Nikola Jokic, he's the next face of the NBA with guys like Durant and KD and Steph Curry getting a little bit up there in age?
Yeah, I don't think it's really for us to decide as an organization or Nikola to decide as an individual. I think the league and the fans kind of somehow come to that conclusion. All I hope we do is we keep on having success as an organization and winning games and winning NBA championships, and hopefully Nikola and everybody else on our team gets that claim due.
What was this offseason like for you? After you won the championship and then you got to retool and reload, what was this offseason like for you personally, Calvin?
It was business as usual. We came off the parade. The draft was a couple of days later, and then you have to make roster moves. You want to try to retain Bruce if possible, and he had a great opportunity financially with Indiana that he couldn't pass up, and so we had to try to fill out the roster from there. But I think just getting the team ready, seeing how prepared they were going to be to enter the series, enter the season, considering how fatigued they were after the end of a long season. That was what we're anticipating. And I think the season went, better than expected from that standpoint.
Well, Calvin, always appreciate your time. Thanks so much for doing this, and good luck coming up here in the second round of the playoffs.
All right, thanks for having me on.
You got it. There he is, the general manager of the Denver Nuggets, Calvin Booth, kind enough to join us once again on the Zach Gelb Show. And what a run this has been for Denver, with them winning the championship last year, getting over that hump, right? When you had Jamal Murray out, Michael Porter Jr. out, people were questioning what they could do. You really started to understood how good this team could be when they were in the bubble and they came up short. Then some injuries derailed them. And last year, boom, they win that championship. And now they're the team that everyone's hunting. You look around the entire NBA. I know we opened up the show talking about the stellar play of the New York Knicks in that first round series and how exciting it is. You look at the Celtics, who got through the Heat in 5 games, a gentleman's sweep. A lot of people believe the Celtics are going to the NBA Finals, including yours truly. But you see the Western Conference. That, to me, is the story right now of the NBA playoffs, is how deep this Western Conference is. We'll see who prevails when you have the Clippers series wrap up against the Mavericks and whoever goes on up against the Thunder. But I don't care how this plays on out. Right now, the series I'm most excited for by far and away has to be this Minnesota and Denver series. And just because you win this series doesn't mean you're going to the NBA Finals, but it does feel like, to no disrespect to the Thunder, who have incredible player in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you obviously know that whoever survives in that series between the Clippers and the Mavericks, like Kyrie and Luka Doncic, are just unbelievable, as you know. I don't think the Clippers are going to come on back, but you just take a glance and you look around this Western Conference. It's been a really fun kind of preview to get set for that second round, even though we don't fully know the matchups. And you're starting to see, whoever those 4 teams remaining, it's going to be a gauntlet to get to the NBA Finals. But until someone takes out the Denver Nuggets, I'm just not going to anticipate them dropping 4 games in a series. That's how damn great they have been. I got to get to Ack here before we get to an update. I heard you're making the big waves around here on the network.
What big waves?
I heard you took a little shot at Odell Beckham Jr.
It really wasn't a shot. It's kind of funny because a lot of people have been texting me about it. Mm-hmm. It really wasn't meant as a shot as it was as a guy who was on a Hall of Fame or had Hall of Fame ability and now doesn't have as much left but still has something to add. So it really wasn't meant at being smug as it was the reality of the situation, but I guess that's the interpretation, and I kind of feel guilty a little about it.
Do you really?
Yeah, because
so you said what you said exactly. Odell Beckham Jr. signed with the Dolphins. People that don't know,
I said whatever talent he has left, he is taking to South.
It's a good line.
Yeah, I thought it was a little irreverent. I don't know, maybe I didn't mean it to come off as impudent as it is or was, but I guess, because again, he has Hall of Fame ability and had Hall of Fame production at one point, but
back in 2016.
Yeah, he's had major injuries and he's still going. So it's kind of, in some respect, maybe I didn't clarify it enough. It's kind of a testament to him that he still has something left at this point.
You know what it could be?
What's that?
I think maybe some people feel bad for Odell Beckham Jr. today.
Why is that?
He ended his relationship with Kim Kardashian, I read today. They were dating for 7 months.
Oh, very quietly.
So maybe people thought you were like twisting a knife a little bit in the back of OBJ today.
Yeah, no, that's I didn't even know about.
Be on
that,
brand for you, by the way.
So, I guess we're not going to see him in Skims commercials anytime soon. But okay, it's all right. I'll cop to it. I'll hold my hand up and say, yeah, I said it. Sorry about that.
I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like, you look at what he did. 91 receptions in his first year in the league, 1,305 yards. And 96 receptions, 1,450 yards. 101 receptions, 1,367 yards. Mm-hmm. Then became a little bit of a pain in the ass in New York when he got the contract and then couldn't even praise his quarterback in Eli Manning when he did that ridiculous interview with Lil Wayne and Josina Anderson. But then, unfortunately, it's one of those careers where he just kept on getting hurt, and you wonder what he could have been.
It's never the same.
And, he had 2 1,000-yard seasons since, but he's never been that number one dominant threat that we've ever seen. And you know what's even crazy? When he went to L.A., he was used as like a luxury. He was going to be used as a luxury piece, and then Robert Woods tore up his leg the next day in practice, and then he caught a touchdown in the Super Bowl, was on fire, and then got hurt.
He could have been the MVP
if he stayed healthy
in that game. If he did not get hurt. That's how good. He was unstoppable in that game, but that's almost a microcosm of his career. He's had those brilliant flashes. He's a pain. But he's had major injuries, and, you just don't know what you get from him anymore. So
Samter said it to me, too, when this news came out that Odell signed, what was it, a $3 million deal with incentives, I think, up to $8.5 million. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Samter goes, isn't it crazy? Like, it's crazy how big of a deal Odell Beckham still is for a guy that hasn't been irrelevant in terms of his name, but in terms of production, outside of those playoff games with the Rams for like 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah, but the thing that's still tantalizing about him, and again, that Super Bowl serves as a microcosm for where he is now, is that he could be a marginal or average receiver for a team as he was with the Ravens last year, but he still has those moments where you're like, wow, he just changed the game with that, or boy did they need that play more than ever. So, and that's maybe what the Dolphins are looking at, because, he's at best their third receiver.
I think we learned something today, by the way.
And that is?
In the long relationship that you've had with Jim Rome being his update anchor. I think Romey finally realized today, Axe got that dog in him. He's got that evil dog in him a little bit.
Don't mess with me.
Man, I don't want to mess up. Like, if I end up being like just a bum for like 3-4 years and I do something, Axe going to be taking a shot at me left and right.
I started seeing, because somebody had tweeted that I deserve to be in, just give me the golden ticket for the smack off, and I'm like, why do I deserve that? What did I do? And like when I saw like the alerts come, I'm like, oh no, did I have a fact wrong in the update? I had no idea, and I'm like, and like then that and it was like one of those things I had to figure out. I'm like, and I asked the person, I'm like, what did
what it is?
What did I do?
Because you're a consummate professional. Like,
Okay.
you are a pros
Not
broadcaster. Really. So when you do take a shot at someone, it's not like, all right, every day Skip Bayless or Stephen A. They take a shot at everyone. It's like, all right, give me another day that ends in Y. When Act takes a shot at someone, even if it's not an intended shot, but you were just telling the truth, I think it resonates with people a little bit more. People got a little excited to hear that, Act.
And look, I'm not meaning to besmirch Odell Beckham Jr. in some respects, but he does make himself an easy target in some respects, because it's always about him. And even if it's well intentioned, somehow he takes the spotlight. So
what did he propose to, like, the kicking net and then the net fell on him, or did he kick the kicking net?
He did both.
Oh, okay.
So he kicked the kicking net, and then he made a joke of it, which was somewhat. Then he proposed. So that was that. I think years later he's tried to explain the boat incident. Which I just look. It's okay to blow off steam, but I think it's bad optics, and you want to make sure that in that spot that you and everybody else are going to be on the same page and ready to go for
Put it this way. They win that game, no one talks about the boat.
Exactly.
But you go in that boat, you lose the game,
like,
everyone's going to crush you.
It was like the Cowboys in Cabo when they lost to the Giants.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Tony Romo, right?
Yeah, if you're going to do that, that's fine, but you got to back it up. And that's, and those incidents haunt Odell Beckham. So, there were a couple of others throughout the years.
Remember when he picked up his leg and
that was what I was referring to? Yes.
Yeah. I'll say it for you,
Told me to avoid that, but so it kind of makes him, I guess, an easy target, if you will.
Yeah. What's your Twitter, by the way, Ack?
At Rich Ackerman.
At Rich Ackerman. If you want to chime in and tell him your lovely thoughts about Odell Beckham, make sure you do that. And wish Ack a very happy Friday.
Yeah. There you
Well,
go.
come on back. We'll discuss the future of the Bucks and the Sixers. Here's the Ack Man, though, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Darvin Ham takes the fall for the Lakers' week playoff showing. He has reportedly been fired after 2 seasons. The Lakers had to play their way into the postseason both years. They went to the conference finals a year ago, but were eliminated in 5 games by Denver. Home court in the playoffs supposed to lift the team, but that wasn't the case Wednesday night in L.A., where the Clippers lost by 30 to the Mavericks. Game 6 takes place tonight in Dallas, with the Clippers looking for at least one more chance at Crypto.com Arena. Despite the daunting task in front of them tonight, head coach Ty Lue set a confident tone for his team.
We know we can win on their floor, and we've shown that the past 2 playoff series. We were down 3-2 the first time we played them, so we didn't play our best game, and we understand that. I think we all understand that collectively, and so we'll be better for Game 6.
They were unable to stop Luka Doncic on Wednesday, when he nearly had a triple-double on a sprained knee with 35 points, 10 assists, and 7 rebounds. The first game of the night features the Cavaliers and Magic in Orlando, which tries to bounce back after the 1-point loss in Cleveland on Tuesday. The Cavs up 3-2. Odell Beckham Jr. comes to terms with the Dolphins on a 1-year deal, and right now at Wrigley Field, no score between the Cubs and Brewers in the top of the 6th. I'm Rich Ackerman.
The Infinity Sports Network is on your smart speaker. All you have to say is play Infinity Sports Network. That's it. Play Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is the Infinity Sports Network. It is the Zach Gelb Show on this Friday, and it's time to Ask the Pros, where you, the listener, gets to ask us a question. It's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at INFSportsNet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag Ask the Pros. Be listening later in the show when we might answer your question. You can thank O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. So, Bucks out of the postseason now. They lose Game 6. The Sixers out of the postseason last night. They also lose Game 6. What's the future of those two teams? I've seen some people, and I will highly recommend, if I know Bart Winkler the way that I know Bart Winkler, and how petty and nasty he could be when people go after his Bucks. And I say that respectfully because I'm a huge fan of Bart. I did see one writer today was already saying, oh, it seems inevitable that one day Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to leave the Bucks and we shouldn't delay the inevitable. So tonight, I'm assuming Bart is working, but you never know when you get this time of the year on a Friday. I may tend to take a few Fridays off coming up this summer, if I may say so myself. From 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. tonight, I would actually, if you set the over-under of 2 minutes into his show, this coming up, I would take the under. So, like, you have Odell Beckham Jr. signing with the Dolphins. You have Darvin Ham getting fired. I'm thinking what could be, like, the big reaction tonight. Like, Cavs Magic, whoever wins that series doesn't resonate any reaction. The Clippers-Mavericks game isn't until 9:30. So, barring some crazy major breaking news, I have no clue if Bart even knows what a hockey puck is. So, I don't think he's going to talk about Toronto forcing a Game 7. And I don't think he's going to be all over Canucks and Predators and Stars and Golden Knights tonight. I don't think Bart's going to do that. But I would be highly intrigued to listen to Bart Winkler tonight because I really do believe Bart is going to just destroy whoever this writer is. I think it was at The Ringer that is suggesting that Giannis Antetokounmpo should leave the Milwaukee Bucks. Bart Winkler, oh my God, I'm just looking at his Twitter. Michael V. Pina, I think the guy's name is, senior staff writer for The Ringer. An eventual breakup feels more likely than Giannis winning another title in Milwaukee. At what point does either side consider an exit strategy? Now, the Bucks would be stupid to ever be the first person there to suggest a trade. It would have to come from Giannis. And Giannis has always threatened it, but that's just so the Bucks improve the team. Why would you write this now? Because let's talk about the future of the Bucks for a second. Giannis isn't going anywhere. Dame shouldn't be going anywhere. They just brought him in. This team wasn't healthy. You know, the Griffin hire was the wrong hire. Then they made a dumb hire and bringing in Doc after that. And you have Giannis and Dame. I'm not breaking that duo up. No way. This team can win another championship. They just got to be healthy. And the last 3 years, the Bucks haven't been healthy. But Bart, you want to hear the tweet? So he quotes this article. Would you like to come on my show tonight? And tags the guy. Not to talk about this article. I just like to lecture you on how big of a pile of garbage this is. That's awesome. And then, did the guy respond? Hold on. Of course. I pressed a button and it's taken me now away from the tweet. So give me 2 seconds here. Because I did see a follow-up tweet. I don't think the guy responded. Oh, this is now then a bad look for Bart. Bart then responds to his own tweet. It shows you how fired up Bart is. I thought maybe the guy reposted it or quote tweeted it and started having a little throwdown with Bart. And then we would have got in there. We would have thrown haymakers. Would have been like being at that Sixers-Knicks game last night. And Bart says, don't you guys get tired of this? Not even making sense when he speaks now. Is there any shame in this kind of reporting, or is this outrage from the Midwest schmucks like me too irresistible to avoid? I got no plans tonight. I'm laying low tonight after getting home at 2:30, 3 in the morning from this game. I'm going to catch up on some reality television tonight. There might be a Mike in Milwaukee calling into the Bart Winkler show tonight. Hey, Bart! I don't know why I'm sounding like that. I think the Bucks should trade Giannis and just kind of see how crazy Bart would go and how much he would unload. Because Bart, there's some people, right, that, and like I've disagreed with callers, but I at least give the caller some rope, and I want them to kind of fight back and banter back, and then when they can't answer a simple question, then I'll let them go. Sometimes the moment when a caller disagrees with some host, they just click on them. Bart will let you go for like 4 or 5 minutes, and we'll just see how stupid you actually are. So maybe I'll troll Bart Winkler tonight. The problem is I got to disguise my voice. Maybe I'll use like a sound effect.
Hello, Bart. It is me. It is Mike in Milwaukee. I think the Milwaukee Bucks should trade Giannis Antetokounmpo. How can a star player survive in Milwaukee? Bart, you still there? Bart.
I may have too much time on my hands tonight, especially if I'm drinking some of that Leap vodka that Leroy Butler sent me all those years ago. I have endless amounts of Leap vodka when a buddy of his personally drove it to my apartment in New York City. So, no, I don't think the Bucks should trade Giannis Antetokounmpo. That is the Zach Gelb Show hot take of the day. Now for the Sixers, their future. I heard Jody Mack last night. When I was driving back from Philly, he was on WIP. And Jody was in rare form. Just going at it with callers, exposing callers that were saying they got to trade Joel Embiid, like basically saying that Joel Embiid was a bum. Where Joel Embiid had a good game last night. In the fourth quarter, he does what he does, and that's unfortunately gets too tired. And I get it with the Bell palsy and then also playing on one leg because of the meniscus injury, he wasn't healthy. And he could still go up and put, what did he have, 35 points in the game. But in the fourth quarter, he did slow down significantly. I don't think the Sixers should trade Joel Embiid. And I didn't know if I was going to have this take after the game. But Maxey is a budding star. You have Joel Embiid. They could go all in this offseason. And not Jerry Jones all in, like actually all in. They have a ton of cap space. And you're already hearing the speculation like Paul George. Usually I wouldn't advocate with Paul George's age and some of his injury history bringing him in. But I still think you have like a 2 or 3 year window where I thought the window was shut. But you bring in Paul George and he's your other guy. And he's more than just another guy where right now Tobias Harris is getting paid like he's the other guy and that contract's coming to an end. And he had a big goose egg last night when he's getting paid nearly $40 million to play basketball. Man, you put on a team Embiid, Maxey, and Paul George in an Eastern Conference that isn't all that spectacular, to be fair. That's a team that could go compete for a championship. So I would try for Paul George first. And then if you couldn't get Paul George, maybe you could do a little reunion. Who says you can't go home with Jimmy Butler and try to get a trade with the Miami Heat? This is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. The Dolphins signed Odell Beckham Jr. Where's your belief level in the Miami Dolphins?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, away we go. Hour number 2 of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Miami Dolphins. Odell Beckham Jr. I won't be like Ack. He's taking his talents to South Beach. It's up to you to decide what those talents are. But OBJ to MIA. He's going Miami. And he's going to be a part of the Miami Dolphins. And this is an added luxury move. Like, this doesn't move the needle for me. I don't sit there and say, oh, wow, Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be the stud this year. But it's a nice little boost for a Dolphins offense that, quite frankly, from a skill position standpoint, didn't need a boost. But when you have Tyreek Hill, you have Jalen Waddle, you add in an Odell Beckham Jr. and he's a number 3 receiver on this team, because the pecking order is clearly Tyreek Hill 1 and Jalen Waddle 2, and then Odell is your number 3, man, that's a pretty great trio at wide receiver. Now, I understand I can't have any great expectations for Odell Beckham Jr. because we haven't seen great Odell Beckham Jr. from, since 2016, 2017, something like that. And there's been a lot of injuries. But if you ask him to do a little bit and not be the focal point, that could go a long way. Like when he got brought into the Ravens last year, I know that he wasn't their number 1 wide receiver. They drafted Zay Flowers. You have Tyner's light. That's what they are. That's who they're trying to be. That's the model that they're following. Now, they've been able to make this be a very talented roster on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, they still got a lot of work to do. And unfortunately, what this defense could be has been derailed by injuries. And you saw, which was just a terrible injury last year, to Jalen Phillips. And then now you have Christian Wilkins no longer there. He's off to Stu's Raiders. It was just an unfortunate end of the season with some of the injuries that they did suffer. And now it's at a point where what's your defense going to be? But I look at Miami and I see the Dolphins. Ultimately, I do believe the quarterback is just not ready. He's not ready to be great. And it's a shame because Tua had a good statistical season last year. If you just follow the stats, people will say Tua Tagovailoa statistically had a top 5 quarterback season last year. But does anyone actually believe that Tua Tagovailoa is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL? I don't. And that's why Belichick has said this before, and I agree with him. And I know people go, that's just what you say when you're about to lose an argument. That stats are for losers. You could have really good stats and not be as great as what your stats indicate. And the Dolphins, they beat up on a lot of bad teams. They had a big lead. They choked that lead down the stretch. Heck, even in the game that they lost, the final game of the season, which cost them the division, Buffalo was practically begging for them to win that game. And Tua and the Dolphins offense just made mistake after mistake. But you look at the numbers, Tua was first in passing yards this past year. He was tied for 5th in passing touchdowns. And he was top 10 in QBR. You would say, Zach, that's a top 5 quarterback when you look at the stats. I don't think so. I don't even think Tua is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL right now. He's close, but I'd rather have Josh Allen, rather have Aaron Rodgers, rather have Lamar Jackson, rather have Joe Burrow, rather have C.J. Stroud. That's already 5. Mahomes, obviously, that's 6. You go Jalen Hurts, that's 7. You go through it. Matthew Stafford, 8. I'd rather have Brock Purdy. That's 9. And then there's some that you could discuss, like Justin Herbert, which is a fair conversation to have. So, he's close to the top 10. He's probably at best 10 and at worst 12 or 13. It's kind of similar Dak Prescott. The way that I talk about Dak mirrors the way that I do discuss a quarterback like Tua Tagovailoa, where he's good. You could do a lot worse. But do I think you'll ever have an elite quarterback there? No. I don't. And unfortunately, fair or not, the moments for me that stand out with Tua last year, who we could all agree had a successful season. It was a solid season for Tua Tagovailoa. But I look back at Tua, and the moments that stand out to me were the 2 games against Kansas City. And it's not just that he lost to Kansas City. It's that he played them twice. And okay, the second time you want to tell me it was frigid temperatures, come on. It's the NFL. Even though those were terribly inhumane frigid temperatures, your offense can't put up 7 points when you have that much talent. And then the first matchup in Germany, he had the bad throw, and he also fumbled the snap too. So, like, the best moment for Tua this past year was beating the Cowboys, who were, like, the notorious chokers. This is a Dolphins team that they're good. But there's a big difference in the NFL from just being good and then being great. And this turns into a major year for the Miami Dolphins. This turns into a year for the Miami Dolphins where I asked two questions. Number one, will Tua have a contract done by the end of before the start of the season? Because that is something that makes me think the answer to that question shows if this is a make or break season for Tua Tagovailoa or not. Because if Tua doesn't get the contract before the start of the season, there's still ways that you could keep him without giving him the extension. But Tua's now been in the league for 5 years. This is his fifth-year option. So you could, in essence, tag him twice, right? Like, just if Tua doesn't have a successful season doesn't mean you're getting rid of him when you say make or break. But you don't give him a long-term deal before the start of this season. He's playing for a contract this year. Now, I would think that would be a mistake if they give him the contract before the start of the season. Because what happens if he gets hurt? What happens if he regresses this year? Then you already paid this guy. And it's going to be very tough to get out of it in the initial year or two that extension does kick in. So that's the first part. Will Tua get a deal done before the start of the season? And then two, what are the Dolphins capable of? Like, this is a tough AFC. Heck, not even just in the AFC. How about their division? Like, I could make a case, and I picked the Dolphins last year to win the AFC East before the year. I was wrong. Thought I was going to be right for most of the year. I ended up being wrong. But I can make a case for the Dolphins to win this division. You know, the only team you can't make a case for to win this division is New England. But the Bills are going to be right there. The Jets are going to be right there. And you could easily say the Dolphins win the division. And I could also tell you that the Dolphins missed the playoffs. Because you got Buffalo, you got the Jets, you got, obviously, Miami just in that division. All 4 teams in the AFC North capable of winning in the division. Indianapolis was right there last year without their quarterback. You have the Jaguars. Maybe they'll bounce back this year. The Texans aren't going anywhere. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. We'll see what the year one impact is of the Chargers. So I wonder what people's expectations are for the Dolphins. And I'll say it's 2 things. Miami has to do one of these 2 things this year. They either have to win the division or they have to win a playoff game. But they just make the playoffs again and they lose in the wild card round. Are we going to look at Miami and say, man, the Dolphins are really close to contending? Because people could say they're a Super Bowl contender. People could say, oh, the Dolphins are one of the better teams in the AFC. That's fine. I don't look at that team and feel like they're a Super Bowl contender. I don't think that's a team that is going to a Super Bowl or even let alone an AFC championship game. Like, at best, I could see the Dolphins, because of their offense, even though I don't love the quarterback, but just the skill position players they have, from Mostert, from now Odell. Obviously, it starts with Tyreek, and you got Jalen Waddle. You know, winning one playoff game. So let me ask you guys, Stu and Samter, the Dolphins this year, what are your expectations for them? What do you believe the Miami Dolphins can do when the season is all said and done? Go ahead, guys.
I think they are a playoff team that can, maybe if all things go right, win one game. I don't think they can reach the conference championship. I think their ceiling is getting to the playoffs as a wild card and winning one game.
Yeah, man, that's depressing. Santer, your expectations for Miami is what?
Expectation is probably wild card or maybe winning a wild card game. But I think if Tua can kind of exercise those demons of coming short in clutch situations, which you either have that gene or you don't. But he did it in college. I mean, He came in at halftime and took Alabama to a title. So you know he has the clutch gene. He just hasn't showed it for the Dolphins yet. If he can re-exercise that and he can have that again with that offense and some of the players they have on that defense, the only team I think that they won't be able to beat is the Chiefs. Now, do I think that that's what's going to happen? Not necessarily. It all depends on Tua. But if Tua can show that he belongs in those big moments, then they're as good as any team in the AFC other than the Chiefs.
So I want to be careful here because the year before that, they did beat the Buffalo Bills, and then they lost to them twice. But one of the times they lost to them was with Skylar Thompson or Skylar Thomas, whatever the guy's name was, who was in quarterback for that game. This past year, they lost to Buffalo 48-20, and then they lost to Buffalo when Buffalo was a turnover machine in the final game of the season at Miami, 21-14. Like, Buffalo was extremely vulnerable last year. And the Jets are without Rodgers. The Patriots stunk, and they weren't able to capitalize. So you say the only team you think they can't beat is Kansas City. I don't think they could beat the Bills when it matters, even with losing Stephon Diggs. And I don't think they could beat the Cincinnati Bengals when it matters, just for starters. And I'll take it a step further. They go up against the Houston Texans. I'm not picking the Miami Dolphins to win that game because I believe in C.J. Stroud. I know it's not just quarterback, but I believe in C.J. Stroud a whole lot more than Tua Tagovailoa. The Dolphins, they're heading towards a trajectory of just being a good team. They were trying to be the Niners. It's a good thought, right? You should try to be like the San Francisco, even though that's a team that hasn't won a Super Bowl. They have been to 2. They have one of, if not the best rosters in the NFL, right? That's a good team to try to model your formula after. But in all reality, the Dolphins, I think they're closer to the Cowboys, where you have a quarterback who's good, not great. You know, Tyreek Hill, as great as he is on the field, he does a lot of stupid stuff off the field. Stephen Ross is always bringing drama to the organization as well. You know, you have a coach who is a good coach, but he's quirky. He's a little bit of a strange dude, but that doesn't mean that he's not a good coach. He is a good coach. And you have a team that, I know the Cowboys defense is now good, but for a while that defense was up and down until Dan Quinn got there. So I look at this Dolphins team. You ask me who their comparison is, who their comp is? It's the Cowboys. It's the Cowboys with like a little less drama. That's what I would say. Because no one has more drama than the drama stinking choking Cowboys, right? No one has more drama than the drama Dallas choking Cowboys. So that's how I kind of just view Miami. Like, you could tell me they win the division this year. Dallas won the division. But big game playoff spot, do I think they're going to find a way to get the job done? No, I don't. And almost still, at best, one playoff game. Like Dallas, that 1 year, 8-9 Tampa Bay. All right, they took advantage of it. Then the 49ers were begging them to go into their own house and beat them. And Dak Prescott was a turnover machine, throwing an interception and then fumbling the football. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Charles Barkley says one NBA free agent signing is maybe the best free agent signing ever. Who is your favorite free agent signing ever? I will give you mine when we come on back. Samter will give you his, and Stu will give you his as well. Take a time out on a Friday. It is the Infinity Sports Network. I'm Zach Gelb.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is the Infinity Sports Network. It is the Zach Gelb Show. We're going to see what happens with the future of the greatest television sports studio show that I've ever seen on TNT with Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, Ernie Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal, with Inside the NBA, as there's some rights deals that we may get some answers with the NBA that could break up that studio show. And if Turner loses the NBA, I did see that Ernie Johnson yesterday, I think was on with Dan Patrick is where I saw it, where Ernie Johnson said, even if Turner loses the NBA, I'm going to stay with Turner Sports. Now, Charles Barkley, it was Charles who said this, and then Ernie said it on TNT. But Charles said it with Dan Patrick that if that happens, he has an opt-out in his contract, and he would probably leave. That would stink. Because it's like, I know our pals Boomer Esiason and Phil Simms are not being brought back on the NFL on CBS, the studio show. I could get through an NFL Sunday without watching any of the pregame shows, any of the post, like any of the studio shows, because the games are the event. You know, college football, game day still big. I give a lot of credit to Big Noon Kickoff on Fox. They have done a tremendous job at closing the gap. We'll see what Saban does and how much of a boost that gives college game day. I think it's going to give it a tremendous boost. And he was phenomenal on the draft stuff. But the Fox show has been great. Even when they lost Reggie Bush, Mark Ingram has been really damn good on TV. So in college football, like the studio shows are very important, but they don't overtake the games. But for the NBA, the regular season product is so vanilla and so boring and so blah and so pedestrian at times that studio show, even in the postseason, and we've had some great games so far in the postseason, but when it's a TNT night, you stay up after the games to see what the reaction's going to be. And sometimes, and this is what makes a great radio program or TV program, sometimes not even the stuff about the NBA. It's like all the other crap that Charles Barkley just talks about too, which is always fun. But when Charles and Shaq go after someone, I find it very, very, very entertaining. But last night, Charles Barkley on TNT, he did laud the Jalen Brunson free agent signing, and he took it in a big, big, big direction. Listen up.
We are witnessing something. You know, when I said it, y'all told me I was crazy. Brunson, one of the best free agent signings of all time. And you guys, I said, he's not LeBron, he's not Kobe, Kevin Durant. Those are all-timers. But for signing a guy that this guy, he shocked there. I guarantee the Knicks didn't think he was going to be this good when they gave him that contract. He's been amazing, man.
He's been good as Bernard King. He's got my vote.
So, one of the best free agent signings ever. And so, here's what I'll say. And you know what? Maybe it's in the moment. And remember how bad the Knicks were. So, sometimes you forget about the good days because you just focus on how bad the Knicks were. Like, last night I was kind of surprised how much I heard on FAN down the hall when I was driving back, how much different Brunson is and how much better Brunson is than Patrick Ewing. Like, that was a conversation. You know, don't get me wrong. Two totally different players. But people are saying they were more impressed with what Brunson did than with what Ewing did. Like, Brunson with Leon Rose and the team that they've constructed have brought the Knicks back. But can they get to a conference finals first? Can they get to an NBA finals first? Before we say, move over Patrick Ewing, forget about you. And this is coming from someone, even though I'm wearing a Temple shirt today, that loves Jalen Brunson, has watched more Jalen Brunson than anybody. And it's amazing how, like, last night, people when I'm listening are like, yeah, move over Patrick Ewing. Like, maybe it's just the society we live in now. And I hate this part of society where everything is turned into a GOAT debate. It's like so stupid. I think it's some of the most lame, lazy, boring radio that we do when we get into like the serious GOAT debate. Like whenever a show does LeBron versus Michael, I turn it off. It drives me bonkers. You know, I will say this. There's going to be one GOAT debate to be had. And like Mahomes wins 3 or 4 more Super Bowls. That's going to be a fun debate. Now, Mahomes lost to Brady in an AFC Championship game. Lost to Brady in a Super Bowl. Just want to point that out. Do some preliminary arguing on that front. I think you guys know where I'm going to fall. But these GOAT debates are really insufferable. But I think it's now turned into a part of society where whenever someone has a great moment, we go, oh, are they on their way to being the greatest all time? Whether it's in the sport or, in this case, for the organization. So you could acknowledge what Jalen Brunson's done is so special and so important, and the Knicks are now back. And you don't immediately have to get on the air and say, you know, Patrick Ewing who? Pretty much. Like, Patrick who? It's just wild to me. But anyway, let's do this as a topic since Charles set it up. Who is your favorite free agent signing ever? Who is the best free agent signing ever? I'll start and then I'll go around the room. My favorite one is Drew Brees signing with the Saints, right? Hurt, was a Pro Bowler briefly with the Chargers. People forget about that. But it's not only what Drew Brees did for the city of New Orleans and Drew Brees ended up doing in the NFL, but you look at the domino effect of that, right? Drew Brees was supposed to go to Miami, then couldn't clear a physical. Remember who was the coach there at Miami at the time? Nick Saban. So think about if Drew Brees ended up going to Miami. We may not even be talking about Sean Payton today with the Saints, number one. Number two, Nick Saban, if he could have got the same thing that Sean got out of Drew Brees, could have been a great coach with the Miami Dolphins. That means he never goes to Alabama. And not only that, it would have gave a serious contender, or at least someone with the pulse in the AFC East when you had that run of dominance going on by the Patriots, where in most years the Jets, the Bills, and the Dolphins all threw up on each other. So think about the Drew Brees signing, where he went from being an okay quarterback with the Chargers, guy made Pro Bowl before, then turning into a top 10, top 15 guy, great statistically, all the records and all that, wins a Super Bowl in New Orleans post-Katrina, Sean Payton, his coach, but then everything else that spirals because of Drew Brees ending up with the Saints, where Saban leaves the Dolphins still don't have a franchise quarterback, because I don't think it is Tua. And you just go on and on and on and seeing what could have been if Drew Brees would have signed with the Dolphins. Instead, he signs with the Saints and goes on to have an all-time great career. So my favorite free agent signing ever is Drew Brees. Stu, I am going to be shocked if Stu doesn't say one name. You don't even got to say this guy's last name, but let's hear your name.
If you thought it was Garoppolo with the Raiders, you are correct. No. It is Shaq. It is Shaq with the Lakers. They signed him. They won 3 championships. He won an MVP, 3 finals MVPs. They got to a 4th championship. Just an amazing duo he created with Kobe. And then even, I disagree with trading him, but in trading him, it laid the foundation for them to build on the next dynasty, which was trading for Lamar Odom, get into pieces to get Pau Gasol. So kind of brought them 5 championships in a way. It's got to be Shaq, though, for me.
Yeah, 100%. When I typed this question in our Slack group, I was going to say,
took me
Stu,
5 seconds.
I already know who yours is going to be. I said mine is Drew Brees. I won't take Shaq because that could be the creme de la creme one. But also, just to follow up what you said, you didn't think they should have traded him? You thought they should have found a way to make it work between Shaq and Kobe? Because at that time, it was you pick Shaq or Kobe. You had to pick Kobe in that moment.
You had to pick Kobe. It would have been nice to try to see if they could have won 1 or 2 more. I think they could have, but
absolutely,
we'll never know. But again, it wound up working out because they got a few more titles afterwards.
Absolutely. So if you didn't say Shaq, I respected the Garoppolo line. But if you did not say Shaq, I would have walked out of the studio and started my weekend a little bit early because I would have been absolutely stunned. Samter, I have no clue where you're going to go. Because Samter's brain, it's a peculiar brain. Where for sports fandom, I know how much you love Arizona. Arizona State, that is. Let me be correct. I then know as a football fan, you pretend to be a Chiefs fan, but down deep you're a Jet fan. You're a big Yankee fan. NBA, I don't know if you have an NBA team. And hockey, I don't know how passionate you are about hockey. But then there are like some things because of all the professional experience that you had where, I was on the Cardinals sideline. And, I was a big wig out in Arizona. And then, I did work as a vendor, selling things at Yankee Stadium. So Samter has a very deep and diverse background when it comes to sports. And then Samter's also a historical guy where he could put away that fandom and just say, hey, this is just what the best free agency signing is. So with Shaq off the table, with Drew Brees off the table, give me one.
So I misunderstood the assignment. I thought it was just what I thought the best free agent signing was. Not necessarily my favorite, but so best, I look in the NFL, Reggie White to the Packers, Peyton Manning to the Broncos. Those are 2 big ones. You look at baseball, Barry Bonds to the Giants, Greg Maddux going from the Cubs after winning that Cy Young to the Braves, and the dominance that pitching staff had. in the NBA, I'm sorry, Shaq to the Lakers was big, but LeBron to the Heat, it was the biggest free agent move in the history of sports. There's no question about it. The show and what it meant at the time, and who
but it wasn't
LeBron
as successful
was,
as Shaq.
And what it meant to basketball, the start of the super teams, the big threes, the start of player empowerment. It was everything, and how he did it, and the move, and how he said it, and the whole thing was the biggest moment in free agent sports.
But it wasn't more effective as the Shaq. Like Shaq won 3 championships. LeBron was 2 championships in 4 years.
Sure. And, Shaq left and Kobe won 2 more.
You know what's interesting,
It was
too?
pretty big. And the Lakers went to 4, right? They went to 4 in a row, and they lost to the Pistons in that 4th one.
No. You're saying the Lakers.
Lakers,
Sorry. I thought you meant the Miami Heat, because I was going to say they lost to the Mavericks, which was LeBron's worst moment of his career. Then they beat the Thunder, which is like an underappreciated championship. Then they split with the Spurs when Ray Allen basically said, I'll bail everybody out. And Pop didn't have Duncan on the court and all that stuff. But, I'll just piggyback off one thing you said. Did we get your answer? Because you threw like 10,000 out there. I don't think we even got your answer. So
those were the best. If we're going with favorite.
Wait, so time out for a second. The big 3. And you talked about, because you are right in what you said. Like, we view the start of the big 3 era in the NBA with LeBron going to Miami, Bosh there, going there, Dwayne Wade already there. But it is funny to me because the first time I really heard the term Big 3 was really with the Boston Celtics, in my lifetime at least, when it was Kevin Garnett, when it was Ray Allen, and it was Paul Pierce. Now, Paul Pierce was already there. Garnett got traded there, and I think Allen got traded there too. So a little bit different, but that was the first time I heard the term Big 3, and then LeBron put Big 3 on steroids when they did the whole show, and then they did not 1, not 2, not 3, 7, 8, 9, 47 championships. So give me your answer now. Sorry about that.
So favorite is just, if we're looking at it from a fan standpoint, Curtis Martin to the Jets. I mean, that was the first time the Jets signed a big-time free agent in a long time, and they haven't signed a lot of big-time free agents since then, so I got to go Curtis Martin.
All right, let's go to our man of just history, and that is the great Rich Ackerman.
He is slightly better than mediocre.
No, you know what? You take your talents to South Beach Act. There's a lot of talents to go around with whatever operates inside that cabeza of yours. Mm-hmm. Who is the best free agent signing of all time? Who's your favorite? Just wondering.
I don't know if I have a favorite. Reggie White is certainly there. Samter said that. I'll say Reggie Jackson, even if he did not always make friends. He certainly put the Yankees on another level when he arrived, because they were in years of mediocrity. And although they had ascended and made the World Series before he got there, he did help them get over the top. I had a thought in my mind and I just lost it. Moses Malone with the 76ers made them a championship team after they couldn't get over the top. So those are among the best. And there are so many bad ones, but
we could do a whole show on bad free agent signings.
Jason Bay. There you go.
I have a 44 Jason Bay. When I was a kid, I bought every Met jersey.
There you go.
Hazmat, Suey, Jason Bay. Ugh, some bad jerseys.
I'll give you one that you can't necessarily call it a bust, but it's so disappointing. And you could see it about to happen, but there was no avoiding it. Was the Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving show in Brooklyn that resulted in 74 games between the two. 74 games in 3 years.
By the way, I know you walked in late, so you didn't hear what mine was. Mine was Drew Brees.
Yeah. He was responsible for revitalizing a franchise, and not only that,
it's one of the greatest what ifs in sports.
Yeah, absolutely. And what if he had gone to Nick Saban? Might not have gone to Alabama.
And not only that, the Patriots could have fewer championships.
Yeah,
because the Dolphins would have been a legit threat.
Absolutely.
In the AFC East when these AFC East were just terrible.
Absolutely, that's a great one.
All righty, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Just real quickly. I was driving back last night, and I feel like you're the perfect person to throw this to because you are like a sports historian. People that are already saying they're more impressed with Jalen Brunson than Patrick Ewing.
See, that's, it's tough because they're different players in different times.
Yeah.
Patrick Ewing was a franchise player, and that's not to say that Jalen Brunson won't be. He's the Knicks' best player right now, and he's a star.
And saved the franchise.
Yeah, but there is a difference and Patrick had to, it also comes down at different times. There was no adding players such as free agents or at least as much back then. But it's a totally different time. Patrick Ewing had to go through a lot of lean years, whereas Jalen Brunson kind of comes in and raised his game to another level.
Went from good to great.
Yeah. I mean, look, again, this is not because what he has done is been fantastic. But if you're talking, the Knicks and guys who have come in and raised that franchise, you also have with the trade of Dave DeBusschere, number one, that changed everything for the Knicks because it also took away others. And they committed to Bill Bradley by trading Cassie Russell, but also Bernard King in the 80s. I mean, Bernard King was everything to that team that Jalen Brunson is to this team right now.
So real quickly, because you're in a shock jock kind of mood today, going after Odell Beckham Jr. When you see
these things don't get labeled once, forget it.
When you see coworker Brendan Tierney today say Jalen Brunson's the greatest Knick he's ever seen, I was shocked when I saw that because Samter, how many times you guys go to the Radio Row and BT? Patrick Ewing, my favorite player. He's here with us, coach at Georgetown, blah, blah, blah.
Clyde.
You want to take a little shot at BT?
I'm not going to take a shot at it. I don't agree with him. But, look, Jalen Brunson is putting himself on a plateau right now that he is rapidly, joining that seat at the dais with all the Knick all-time greats. But right now he's at the end of that table.
Yeah,
he's not near the microphone for the MCs.
Put it this way. They lose to the Pacers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
People are going to say they need another star. They get to the Celtics, and even they lose in 5 to the Celtics, which they're not expected to beat the Celtics. I think people say, all right, now they got to get that next piece to push them over the hump.
Well, I think right now the hard part is they don't have Julius Randle, and I think when they were struggling for points down the stretch and looking for another scorer, that guy's Randle. So I think it's tough to look at the Knicks. You kind of play that what if game just a little bit. You say what they still are is pretty good. I mean, and I still think. Look, when you have Tyrese Halliburton and some other guys on the floor that can make a difference, Pascal Siakam has won a title with the Raptors. There are teams in the East that are still pretty good, but I think any of them are beatable. Whether it's the Pacers, whether it's the Celtics. The Knicks could just as easily be there. It would be a lot better if Randle was with them, but we'll find out just how good they are right now as they are.
All righty, we have a new clown in the NBA, maybe the biggest clown in the NBA.
Yeah, it scared
now.
me. You said we have a new clown.
No, not you. Only when you leave, we may call you a clown behind your back.
There you go.
No. But I'll tell you the biggest clown is in the NBA right now when we return. Update time first. Here's the Ack Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
Am I a clown or am I here to amuse you? With LeBron James a pending free agent in 39, the Lakers don't have much flexibility and patience and have reportedly fired head coach Darvin Ham after just 2 seasons. They got to the conference finals out of the play-in game last year, but went out in 5 games in the first round. This year, the first round of the NBA playoffs could finally end tonight with 2 series still to be determined, and both 3-2. The Cavaliers are up on the Magic with Game 6 in Orlando. The home team has won every game through the first 5. Jarrett Allen is questionable after missing practice with a rib injury. Head coach J.B. Bickerstaff said it's going to be an all-hands-on-deck mentality.
Together, that's the only way to get through it. We obviously have individual leadership and guys that step up and say the right thing in the moment. But the priority is that whatever we do it together. And, we've proven throughout this year and this series that when we're together, we can accomplish great things.
The Mavericks may have turned out the lights for the Clippers at Crypto.com Arena tonight. They'll try to finish off L.A. at home, up 3-2. Right now at Wrigley Field this afternoon, the Cubs trail the Brewers 3-1 in the bottom of the 8th. I'm Rich Ackerman.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Check out our new and improved website at infinitysportsnet.com. That's infinitysportsnet.com.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
Yo, yo! It is the Infinity Sports Network, and this is the Zach Gelb Show. This week's NASCAR preview is brought to you by Wendy's. Wendy's new Cinnabon Pull-Apart is here to satisfy your sweet morning cravings. Get your day off to a sweet start with Cinnabon Pull-Apart only at participating U.S. Wendy's. This week's race takes place at the Kansas Speedway. Denny Hamlin leads all active drivers with 4 victories and 13 top 5s at Kansas. But first, Samter, I don't know if you saw this, but we do got some breaking, major, enormous, franchise-changing Kansas City Chiefs news.
We have breaking news on the Zach Gelb Show.
The Kansas City Chiefs. I could hear Samter's heart racing. Dun dun, dun dun, dun dun. Are declining Kadarius Toney's 5th-year option. Toney's 5th-year option would have been $14.4 million, fully guaranteed. He is now set to become an unrestricted free agent in 2025. I just saw this via one of the aggregators, Dove Climate. So, Santa, that's good news for you. Remember we saw him at the Super Bowl? He was on the field, media night, opening night, and then he left rather quickly after that. Young Joker. Also a rapper. That's his rap name. Kadarius Toney. Young Joker. I'd like to hear Taylor Swift and Young Joker get on a little album together. Try to get his rap career off the map because the football career is one of those that what could have been. So you got to be pumped up about this. I even forgot he was on the team, to be honest with you. Because unfortunately, he just drops everything that comes in. He couldn't even catch a cold these days. And now he's still on the team. And I know he had the big moment in the Super Bowl, right? 2 years ago. But since then, man, he has really fallen out of good standing in the Kansas City Chiefs organization.
Doesn't matter. Whether we have him or we don't have him. The repeat, it's coming. It doesn't matter who our receivers are. Do you think it matters who we have? Rashee Rice, six-week ban, 8-week ban, full-year ban? Doesn't matter. We have Hollywood Brown now. We got Patrick Mahomes. We have Travis Kelce. It's a three-peat. It doesn't matter who's there. Kadarius Toney could sign for 10 more years in KC or be gone tomorrow, and I don't care. Doesn't matter.
Okay. Now let's get to the new biggest clown in the NBA. Pat Bev. And I really hate this one because I used to be a Pat Bev guy. But now I can't be a Pat Bev guy. When Pat Bev was in Houston, I was there for the Temple-Houston American Athletic Conference Championship game. And I got tickets to go to a Houston basketball game. It was in Houston Rockets. It was Kobe Bryant's final season in the NBA. Still, you'll appreciate the story. Someone told me the game was Rockets and Lakers. Like weeks before I was out there, there was a chance I was going to be like, oh, the Rockets are playing the Lakers. We're going to go to the game. I'm like, yeah, awesome. Wasn't the Lakers. The Lakers were there like the following week. I forget who they played. But I was 5 rows off the court, and I got to see the antics of Pat Bev. And I'm like, man, he's one of those dudes. You love him if he's on your team, but you hate him if you have to go up against him. But I was very entertained by him. So I was always amused by Pat Bev. And I like Barstool, and he does the podcast on Barstool now. So I've become a fan of Pat Bev. But the antics of Pat Bev last night, one of these antics would have been disgraceful, but he gave you 2 of them. So I thought this was a fake tweet. I saw the video, which I knew was real, where the game's ending. He's on the bench. He throws a basketball into the stands. It hits a lady in the face. The ball gets thrown back to him, and then he throws the ball back into the stands. This is the problem with the NBA. And I said that out of all the 4 major sports, the NBA does not respect their fans. They constantly spit in the faces of their fans. Like, could you imagine if a fan brought a basketball to a game and threw a ball at a player? It'd be like the biggest deal. Every NBA player would talk about it. How many NBA players are talking about Patrick Beverley throwing a basketball at a fan? I'm not condoning what that dopey fan did in Boston when he threw a bottle at Kyrie Irving, but every NBA player commented on it. But you have this dope Patrick Beverley throwing a ball that hits a lady in the face, and no one comments on it. So according to Shams Charania, the reason why he did that, the Bucks were reportedly breaking the huddle, and the fans yelled, Cancun on 3, Cancun on 3, 1, 2, 3, Cancun. That's pretty funny. It's a good job by those fans. And it's a pretty petulant reaction by Pat Bev. But Pat Bev wasn't done there just quite yet. Then afterwards, There is a longtime producer at ESPN, Melinda Adams, and she was just trying to get the audio. And Pat Bev goes, do you subscribe to my podcast? She goes, no. And he goes, well, then you can't sit here and get audio from me. And then was just constant, like she was just standing there, not trying to get into it, just holding the microphone, then shoves the microphone out of his face. Just so low class. And you know what? You know who's on? Adam Silver. Adam Silver is a spineless commissioner. Spineless Silver has to deliver a big-time punitive action to Pat Beverly. You have to suspend him, and you have to give him a significant suspension. Now, I did see ESPN, because he's like a contributor to ESPN. They said, we are cutting ties with Pat Bev. He won't appear on any of our shows. And I know he's reached out to Melinda Adams and has since apologized. But just because you apologize for something doesn't mean you don't have to be held accountable. You know, I understand fans across the line chanting 1, 2, 3 Cancun, and you throw a basketball, hits a woman in the face, and then they throw it back, and you throw the basketball back into the stands, and then you carry on with these antics afterwards. Low class, and he is just a clown. An absolute clown. Draymond, move over. Your clown status has been revoked for a few days. I'm sure you'll find a way to get it back when we start the basketball season next year and Draymond's actually on the court. But, man, Pat Bev, what a disgrace, what a clown.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Yo, rocking and rolling. Hour number 3 of our radio program. That's right. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. I got a big night of TV watching. This is a reality TV show night tonight for your boy. I actually think, let me double check here, because I was late last night as I got into my apartment at about like 2:15 a.m. Eastern time. I never got back from the game. I got an alert that there was a new episode available, and I believe it's Real Housewives of New Jersey. Oh, that doesn't start until Sunday? May 5th. My Friday night's ruined. I thought I was going to get back-to-back reality TV night tonight. I missed Jersey Shore last night because it was the Sixers game. So I got to watch Jersey Shore Family Vacation and see Mike the Situation like throw it down with Angelina's boyfriend, as I saw the preview for that. And then I thought I was going to be able to watch Real Housewives of New Jersey. So guess that's not happening. Is there a TV show that you guys have before we get to a news brief that's like a guilty pleasure show? For some reason, for me, it's Jersey Shore, it's Real Housewives of New Jersey. And the way that I started watching Real Housewives of New Jersey was when our colleague Tiki Barber and his wife were on the show for a year. And I'm like, oh, it's like good like office fodder. I like reality TV, so let me just check it out. And even though Tiki and his wife were only on it for a year, I kept on watching it afterwards. And that's how I understand someone's character, by the way, and I judge someone's character, is if someone watches The Real Housewives of New Jersey, and right, like I'm at an age now where you're meeting a lot of people's like future significant others and things like that. So when I'm talking to like some of my friends' future significant others, I will throw out there, you know, I'm a big reality TV fan. You know, we talk about Real Housewives of New Jersey, and I say, are you team Melissa Gorga or are you team Teresa Giudice? And the people that say they're team Teresa Giudice, I just know, character flaw. Like if I was an NFL scout and you have like some of the character flaws when you go through the process, that's my question. You familiar with the show Real Housewives of New Jersey? Gorga or Giudice? Who do you think's in the right? If you say Teresa Giudice, I think that's a major character flaw. Slimy. Very slimy human being she is. So a lot of people get very surprised when they see this like big burly sports guy. Oh, you talk about sports? Yeah, no, I have a reality TV side in me. What's your guilty pleasure show, Samter? Samter, for some reason, I could see Samter like a Friday night, wife out of town with the baby. Maybe they're going to visit some family in San Francisco for work or something. Which is like a big pint of ice cream on the couch watching what show? What is it?
This isn't with my wife out of town. This is because of my wife. So it's with the wife right there next to me.
With the missus.
Yeah, it's the worst thing that's ever happened that we got into the show, and I can't help it, but we watch every season, and they have like 1,000 spinoffs of this one show. It's called 90 Day Fiancé. And basically,
I've heard about that.
It's on TLC. The basic premise is that if somebody wants to get married with somebody else from overseas, they bring the person here on what they call a K-1 visa, and they have 90 days to get married, or else that person has to go back to whatever country they came from. And a lot of times there's scams, and a lot of times, the people are just trying to get a green card. But oftentimes they're like coming here for love, and it's really interesting to see all the dynamics of the different cultures, the different countries, the different language barriers, the men, the women. It's just absolutely the worst, most ridiculous show that you've ever seen. But then they have 90 Day the other way, where you go to that other person's country. They have 90 Day before the 90 Day when they first meet. They have Happily Ever After they get married. They've got a million different offshoots, and we watch every single one of them, and that's my absolute guilty pleasure.
Stu, what's your show? What Taylor Swift show do you watch?
It's not Taylor Swift. My girlfriend has gotten me into both The Bachelor and The Bachelorette.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not terrible, though. Which one do you like better?
Probably The Bachelor, because I feel like the guy always makes a fool out of himself for the most part.
Yeah, aren't some of those shows... I have not watched The Bachelor in a long time.
Yeah.
Don't like people come on the show now with like a girlfriend and they just do it for the fame?
Yeah, I know the Golden Bachelor... They got married, and after like 3 months, they broke up. So
there was one of the Love Islands. I watched one of the Love Islands, the longest commitment show, where you watch it once and it's like I can't do it again. It's like 30 episodes, and they're an hour long. I don't remember the girl's name. That girl was smoking hot too. But the guy, his last name was Crap, Grant Crap, and he went on the show with a girlfriend. And I, love this couple. They were a great couple. And the show ends, and they mention that there's speculation that he has a girlfriend. So I just watched this episode. It's like 2-3 years ago. 30 episodes, an hour long. And then I have to watch all the reunion shows. I'm watching all the interviews across the pond, too, that they're doing at local radio stations. It's like a big deal. I'll tell you, this girl I used to date, the two shows that I could not stand, they creep me out, and I have to watch them. You ever see the 1,000-Pound Sisters? That show is repulsive, number one. And then, you ever see the Dr. Pimple Popper?
Oh, I love those.
Oh, you're a sick human being.
I scroll through TikTok, and those pimple popping videos, just they catch me.
When I had to watch Dr. Pimple Popper, that's when I knew this relationship was not going to work out. You obsess over that show. It is disgusting. And I know sometimes people think oh, big tough guy, all that stuff. That's a show when you watch it, I'm this, you know when a player tears his ACL and you just see the leg and I don't need to see the replay? Dr. Pimple Popper is the equivalent of that. Disgusting.
Yeah, I'm the guy who needs to watch the replay 9 times. That Kevin Ware injury, I've seen 1,000 times.
Oh, no.
There's something about the pimple popping and the broken legs. There's just something that it's a draw. Hence why there's channels dedicated to pimple popping and shows dedicated to all this kind of nastiness. People like it. I don't know why I like it, but I do.
But as gross as Dr. Pimple Popper is, the 1,000-Pound Sister show is some of the most sad and just disgusting thing I've ever seen. How that gets on TV is crazy to me. And there's so many. Oh, I love that show. I love that show. My own mother, she loves that show. And I'm like, Mom, how do you watch this? It is repulsive to watch that show. Anyway, it is a Friday. So 7 minutes in on reality TV. I don't need to do any more. Next thing you know, Zach, someone got offended that you don't like Dr. Pimple Popper or you don't like the 1,000-Pound Sister. You said some girl was smoking hot, and I got a call from our new boss, Ryan Hurley, and David Mayernick on a Friday when I'm just trying to unwind and relax and chill out. and then the weekend gets ruined. So let's get to a news brief, Stu. All right.
Extra, extra, read all about it. Extra, extra, read all about it.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
Ben Bozo in the YouTube chat. Great name. My guilty pleasure is the Zach Gelb Show. It's a good line. We thank you, Ben Bozo. Let's go to John Lynch, not a bozo. He's on the Pat McAfee Show. Could the 49ers still trade Ayuk or Deebo?
I love our roster. I love the way it's comprised. As I said, we were right there, and we got to find a way to get just a little bit better. I'm doing everything in my power to keep our roster together, and that's my goal, and I don't question that. I've got so much belief. When you talk about guys like Brandon Ayuk and Deebo, they're guys we drafted. They're guys we take a lot of pride in what they've become, who they've become, and we couldn't be more proud of those guys. And so, during the course of drafts and off seasons, do conversations happen? Absolutely they do. We're past that now, and, we're thrilled to add to that group.
So that's fine to say, but I take it with a grain of salt because you still haven't given Brandon Ayuk a new contract. You give Brandon Ayuk a new contract, okay, he's staying there. But then the question becomes, you're going to get rid of Deebo Samuel. So I'm not ready to say both of them will be on the roster come week 1. Here is Patrick Mahomes on the game-winning TD in the Super Bowl and the play call behind it. This is on the I'm Paul Silv podcast. Oh, with Logan Paul. Go ahead.
The last touchdown at the Super Bowl. Overtime?
Yeah.
I mean, bro, freaking out.
Dude, that play was freaking sweet.
Corn dog.
It was not supposed to go to the guy that caught the touchdown. So
really,
we ran the corn dog one against the Eagles. Sorry, touchdown, won the game. And then we were going to run a fake version of that, and then we were going to do a little shovel pass, and it was wide open again. So next year, New Orleans, we're going to do it again.
Whoa,
put it on the table.
whoa.
We're going to do it again. I'm telling you now.
Next year, New Orleans? Next year, New Orleans. Super Bowl is in New Orleans. Santa will have a bunch of beignets. What's the drink there? Hurricane, right?
A little po' boy.
Yeah, get some alligator too, some gator down in Nolans. And I guess I'll be seeing your Chiefs. Is that a guarantee? Right? Sounds like a guarantee to me.
Hey, listen, I had Joe Namath, now I'll have Patrick Mahomes. I love it.
By the way, Moist Pork did bring up a very good comment. He tweeted me at Zach Gelb. And also, I think we need to change your Twitter handle, by the way. Because he tagged you too. Your Twitter handle is at Big Mike CBS. I think it's time for a change.
Yeah, CBS doesn't stand for what you think it stands for.
Okay, I guess we'll have a discussion after the break. What does it stand for? Can't be small?
Oh, I can be very small.
So he says Samter likes to watch pimple popping, but he can't stand the word moist. It's a very fair point. It's a very fair point. Like how I freak out over the pimple popper show, you freak out over when people say the word moist, correct, Amundo? So, no comment on that, nothing?
I mean, it's true.
Yeah. What is it with you and moist? Why do you hate that word?
It's just gross. And like if you say it,
moist.
That combination of moist. M-O-I.
Boy.
It sounds like you're throwing up. Like every time I say the word, I feel like I'm vomiting as I say it.
Do you really?
It's gross.
Okay. Let's go to Ezekiel Elliott.
How do you want to prove in this new era?
I'm just the guy unfinished business. Here to chase a ring.
Here to chase a ring. Is Zeke married? The only ring you'd be chasing is a wedding ring if you're not. A Super Bowl ring with the Cowboys? Come on. Give me a break. Here is Joel Embiid on the first-round loss to the New York Knicks.
I mean, it sucks to lose. The goal is to win the championship.
anytime that don't happen, that's all I care about. I don't care, if I got to the second one or, that does not mean anything to me. We just didn't accomplish what we wanted to. And, the thing is, we believe in ourselves so much that, we believe that we actually, could have won it. But everything didn't go out the way, we wanted to. Had a lot of different circumstances. But it's also exciting to look at the future, to look what's in front of you. But it's also easier said than done.
So what are then the changes, big fella, that the Sixers need to make?
I like our group of guys. I think we have, an amazing group of guys. Obviously, it didn't work out this year, but we also played a great team. The New York Knicks, they did a great job, and, they played together for a long time. So I like our guys. Obviously, they got a lot of decisions to be made, but I think the group of guys that we had this year, they were amazing, and I still believe that, if everything went right, we had a chance. So, but everything didn't go right.
I don't think the Sixers had a chance to win a championship this year. They need another piece. They allocated so much money to Tobias Harris. He was a big fat zero in Game 6, literally, at 0 points. That's inconceivable. They should try to go get Paul George. And I usually would not advocate bringing in an older star, but they have a 2 or 3 more year of a chance if you get the right complementary other piece in there with Embiid, because Embiid consistently is not able to stay healthy this time of the year. Here is Tyrese Maxey on the close series against the New York Knicks.
Yeah, it was tough. I think we were just talking about the point differential. I think it was +1 them. I think that's probably one of the closest series that I've been in my young career. So, it was tough. That was a well-fought series. I mean, hats off to them. Those guys, they made shots. They made big-time shots, and we just talked about it. Josh Hart made big-time shots Game 1. He made big-time shots Game 6. Got the ball in Jalen Brunson's hands at the end, and he hit a big one.
Let's go to Patrick Beverley. I told you how much of a clown this guy was earlier, throwing a basketball into the stands, hit a woman in the face, then threw it back into the stands. And then he had this incident with a longtime ESPN producer after the game.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Yeah. Before I finish. Yeah. You subscribe to my pod?
Do I subscribe to you? I do not.
So you can't interview me then. No disrespect.
Well, Jamal is here.
You subscribe? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Again, there were a couple times within a bucket or two. In previous games, y'all have been able to kind of get over that hump. Or maybe
got my face, please.
Was it anything they did in particular, or was it just one of those where the bucket didn't go down, there wasn't the stop, they made one? What kind of prevented that you all from being able to get over, kind of like you have in the past?
You'll move that mic, please, or just get out the circle, please, for me, please, ma'am. If you're not subscribed to my pod, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Can you just not be an ass? Seriously. You already made yourself to look like an ass on the court when you hit a woman in the face with the basketball. And then here is this longtime producer just doing her job collecting sound. You don't subscribe to my podcast, so you can't stand in front of me? Ugh, insufferable. Absolutely insufferable. Like, what a loser, what a clown. And I like Pat Bev, but it's just such low-class behavior. Now, there is a source off right now. Told you earlier, Front Office Sports is reporting that Pat Bev has been banned from future guest appearances on ESPN shows. That is getting refuted by Austin Karp, who is the managing editor and digital at the Sports Business Journal. He's saying, source close to the situation actually tells me Pat Bev is not being banned from the ESPN airwaves. So who knows what to believe. Let's go to Draymond Green. Let's continue the Pat Bev conversation. Draymond Green, the irony in this on the Draymond Green Show via the Volume, talking about Patrick Beverley.
Pat Bev threw a ball at a fan last night. Pat keep having these instances after they lose, like in these playoff games. That one might have been crazier than the CP push because it opens up an entirely different can of worms. Like, Adam's gonna have a problem on his hands with this one because it's about as close as you can get to going in the stands. That is forbidden for us. Then Pat didn't follow it up very well because he followed it up with getting into it with the female reporter. I ain't never heard somebody say, if you ain't subscribed to my podcast, don't ask me a question. Pat, you can't keep having these moments, man, at the end of these losses. You starting to look like the kid that's going to grab the ball and say, I'm going home. This is, I can't play it. We out of here. We leaving the park. It's my ball. Come on, Pat.
Here's the thing. He's not wrong in anything that he just said. But look who the source is. You can't keep on having these moments. Draymond, you've been having these moments for 4 or 5 years now. And you keep on having moments. Ay, ay, ay. You know, I'm split on that one. Because Draymond's right in what he says, but it's funny when Draymond says it. Because it's like, dude, the irony in that. You know, I kind of want to see Draymond and Pat Bev be on the same team next year. Make Adam Silver's life easier. Just watch one game and decide where all the suspensions are going. All righty. Actually, one more. Here is Doc Rivers. His thoughts on the Milwaukee Bucks season.
I don't know where my thoughts are right now. I really like this team. You know, obviously we're going to have to do some things, right? But never really having the chance to do any of the two-man game that you're talking about with Dame and Giannis. We did it on that West Coast trip, and it was starting to cook, and then I think Dame went out, then Giannis went out.
It's kind of sad what Doc Rivers has become. No one believes in Doc Rivers anymore. He shouldn't be the coach of this team. But they do have you don't want to hear excuses when your team loses, but this is a legitimate excuse. Dame wasn't healthy, Giannis wasn't healthy. What else did you expect? That team, if they were healthy, now there was moments where they were healthy and then they still didn't like the coach even though they had a good record and they brought in Doc Rivers. But when both of those guys miss games in this series, it gives you the get-out-of-jail-free card. All right, that's a news brief. Coming on back, it is the Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio, where we will discuss Darvin Ham getting fired. Oh, I said it, CBS Sports Radio. Sorry, Infinity. I lose another quarter. All righty, come on. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? I'm just trying to get through this Friday show, and I call it the old name of the network. It got to be $4 in this mug. I got to go add another quarter. I'll do that when we come on back.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. The least surprising news of the day. We will react to it now, and that is the fact that Darvin Ham has been dismissed by the Los Angeles Lakers. I will give you my reaction in a second because I have something to say when I hear that Shams Charania report that an extensive search will commence and the candidates will be Mike Budenholzer, Kenny Atkinson, and J.J. Redick. And then also, if he becomes available, Ty Lue. So forget about the candidates, Stu, because I'll get your thoughts on this. But you being the Laker fan on this show, you can't be surprised by the Darvin Ham firing, but your thoughts on it.
Yeah, not surprising at all. I don't think he was a great coach, but I certainly don't think it's his fault. Like, I wouldn't blame him. I wouldn't fire him. I would give him another chance. I also didn't think Frank Vogel deserved to be fired. I think they should have stuck with Vogel.
I agree with you on that.
And just kept it going with him. But, yeah, it's not his fault. But like you said, it's so predictable, and it's probably going to be J.J. Redick, and it's just going to be a disaster.
How many coaches have they had in L.A. with LeBron? Just let me see how that Mike Brown was there, right? With LeBron, I think very briefly. You had Luke Walton was there. You had Frank Vogel. And then, obviously, Darvin Ham. Am I missing anybody else, Stu? Right? That's the only coaches, right?
That sounds right.
LeBron got there, 2019?
2019, yeah. The year before the pandemic, yeah. So 2019 was his first year.
Okay. 2018, 2019 was when he first got there. Yeah, it was Luke Walton. So maybe Mike Brown. Was Mike Brown not there?
So Mike Brown was with when they still had Kobe.
Okay. Why did I think that Mike Brown was was brought back to the Lakers for another go. Okay, yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
So it started with Walton. Walton was the coach the
so
first
So
year.
it was Walton, Vogel, and Ham.
Yeah,
those are the coaches that he had. So those are the coaches for LeBron.
Feels like more than
that.
LA. It does feel like more than 3.
The guy's a coach killer.
Yeah.
David Blatt, like it worked. He got rid of David Blatt, right? David Blatt was the Bucks coach this year. The record was good, and they got rid of him, except the Bucks didn't have the Cavs ending because Ty Lue ended up winning a championship. He wanted Spoelstra gone in Miami, and then Pat Riley's like, we're not firing Eric Spoelstra, and I'm not coaching. And then in LA, Walton gone, Vogel gone, and now Ham gone. And assuming LeBron opts out but returns to the Lakers, he'll pick the next coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. Here's the problem with this whole thing. It would be hysterical to me still if Ty Lue, for whatever reason, does not return with the Clippers. Let's say he wants to reset, he wants out. And he goes and teams up with his friend LeBron again, when a few years ago they could have had Ty Lue if the organization would have just given Ty Lue a 4-year contract. Instead, all they wanted to do was give him a 3-year contract, because if memory serves me right at the time, that lined up with LeBron's potential free agency, and they were fearful that LeBron would leave and then they would be stuck with Ty Lue, which the reason why that never made sense to me still, if you get stuck with Ty Lue's a good coach. So it's like, why would you be afraid of that? Now, maybe at the time you could argue, well, Ty Lue's success as a coach is with LeBron. He didn't have that Clippers chapter yet, so maybe they were skeptical. But with how many times coaching nowadays just relationship with the player, even if you had to deal with a little bit of LeBron not being there and Ty Lue still being there, it would not have been a bad thing. Like, out of all those choices, would Ty Lue be the top name for you?
Yeah, by far. I wouldn't mind Budenholzer, but I think Ty Lue would be the ideal candidate.
The only thing is with Coach Bud, who I think is respected in the game, and I don't think Milwaukee wanted to fire him, but they felt like they had to fire him, is Coach Bud going to be the right guy for LeBron? I think Budenholzer's a heck of a coach. I don't know if it's the right fit for LeBron. Atkinson, just because, like, Durant got there, Kyrie got there, and they said, oh, the net culture, what Sean Marks and Kenny Atkinson built. And then the first moment they had where they could stab Kenny Atkinson in the back, they did. It's like the coach that's a little bit too demanding. I don't know if it fits, especially in this day of the NBA. Like, we see it in football now, too. And I think Budenholzer and Kenny Atkinson may be a little bit too demanding.
I do have some bad news for Stu.
What happened?
According to Woj, the Clippers are planning to pursue a contract extension with Ty Lue that will allow him to avoid entering the final year of his deal in 25-26. So it sounds like the Lakers might be out of luck.
Well, you could attempt to pursue a contract extension. Like, I could say, hey, Samter, let's say your deal was up. All right? Let's say your deal was up at the end of the year. I want to attempt to pursue a contract extension with you. If you don't want to be there anymore, it's got to take 2 to tango here.
Right, but Ty Lue's still under contract, so
Sure.
he'd have to quit, give up whatever. I don't know how you quit if you're under contract.
Trading assets.
Right, you'd have to trade assets, but if the Clippers don't want to do that, like, Ty Lue's under contract. He can't force his way out of being that coach to coach somewhere else.
And also,
have we ever seen that where a coach forced his way out of a contract?
Yeah, Bill Belichick.
No, that was a
He
little bit
resigned as
different.
the HC of the Jets, and they had to trade. Sean Payton got traded.
Traded, yes.
Yeah, that's what would have to happen. That's what I'm saying.
But, like, the teams have to be amenable to it. So, like, the Saints had to be amenable to trading.
Yeah, that's what has to happen.
If the Clippers are like, we're not trading Ty Lue to the Lakers.
There's no way, Steve. If the Clippers had Donald Sterling still as their owner, they'd probably trade Ty Lue because, like, they were a joke of an organization. Yeah. But Steve Ballmer would not check his ego at the door and do the right thing.
Right. So at this point, if the Clippers are saying they're trying to keep Ty Lue, and we know that they're not going to trade Ty Lue's not going to be the coach of the Lakers then.
Oh, I would agree with that. I think it's unlikely that Ty Lue is the coach of the Lakers. I think it's actually going to be J.J. Redick. And you know what? That's a disgrace. And the reason why it's a disgrace, it's the same damn thing. It's actually worse than when Kevin Durant got his guy Steve Nash the job, and then the first moment they had an opportunity to stab Steve Nash in the back, who should not have been the coach, was not qualified to be the coach. KD and Kyrie both did so, even though KD got Steve Nash the job. LeBron, because he does this podcast, he's buddies. Now with J.J. Redick. J.J. Redick's a finalist for the Hornets job. Notice we have no announcement there. That's because J.J. Redick wants the Lakers job. I guarantee you it. And it would be a bad decision. The Lakers won't win crap. And J.J. Redick would be insufferable as the head coach of the Lakers because he's so smug. He's so arrogant. He thinks his you-know-what doesn't stink. If I have to deal with that guy as the head coach of the Lakers, Stu, sorry, hope the Lakers go 0-82 next season. I hope they go 0-82. They lose every game. J.J. Redick as the next coach of the Lakers. It's going to happen. There is no doubt about it in my mind. It will happen. It is the same damn thing as when KD got Steve Nash hired as the Nets head coach.
Do they keep the podcast going? Does J.J. Redick, the coach, and LeBron, his player...
Sipping wine. Bunch of wine snobs. Oh, look at our wine. Look at our basketball insight. Oh, it's all wonderful.
You know, I would have paid good money to see a Phil Jackson Kobe podcast back in the day. Coach player.
Such a random thought, but
no,
okay.
I'm thinking about like coach player podcast, like Phil Jackson and Kobe sitting down. Oh, man, that would have been classic.
If I ever wanted a coach to have a podcast, Don Nelson.
Oh, that would have been fun.
Don Nelson, though, post-coaching. He's, let's say he's dabbled a little bit in the ganj. All right? I don't know if you can tell the difference between Willie Nelson and Don Nelson in terms of, did Willie Nelson pass away?
I think he's still, didn't he turn 91 the other day?
Because they were talking about, I remember they were talking about that Nelly Kush. Yeah, he just,
91.
Yeah, he just turned 91 a week ago. But they were talking about that Nelly Kush and their love of smoking pot together. Willie Nelson and Don Nelson. Don Nelson would be very interesting on the podcast. Remember when he showed up for that anniversary when the Warriors won as an 8 seed? And man, I was like, that's Don Nelson? Really? So, J.J. Redick. Tell me I'm wrong, Stu. Right now, you have to take a guess. Who's the next coach of the Lakers? Who is it?
It's J.J. Redick. Yeah, I'm just. It's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. Is what it is.
Samter, are we 3 for 3 here?
It's 1,000%. It's already signed, sealed, delivered.
Are we 4 for 4? J.J. Redick, the next coach of the Lakers. You think it's going to happen?
I would look at Mike Budenholzer. I'm going to say no.
I agree that Budenholzer would be a good coach. As I said earlier, I don't think he's the right fit for the Lakers because sometimes that demanding coach now, who I am a fan of.
Bring back Frank Vogel.
Yeah, probably wouldn't be a bad move.
Hey, I want a title here.
Yeah. Should we get Magic to coach a team?
That would be fun. Oh, that would be so
fun.
The
Magic tweets.
I mean, they did that already. That didn't work
Could you imagine the post-game press conferences? They scored more points than we scored, so next time we had to score more points than they need to score, so therefore the Lakers can win the game instead of having a loss in the game.
What?
Thanks, Magic.
Why are you sounding like a caveman when you say that?
Because that's what his tweets read like.
No, I
They're
understand
the most
that.
obvious observations of all time. The Lakers lost the game because they scored fewer points than the other team, and next time they need to score more points than the other team. Thanks, Magic.
Yeah.
Did you see how he blamed the Lakers season on load management and then apologized for it in a later tweet?
Did he really?
He's like, oops, sorry, I meant to say injuries. No, you didn't.
He said load management.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I'm a Magic fan. You want to know I'm a Magic fan? Because when we got pitched to have him on the show over the summer, I'm like, you got to take Magic Johnson. But I go, this got to be maybe the most boring interview ever because you read his tweets, and it's just like, obviously, a crazy life, but you read his tweets, and it's like, he's not going to say anything. And when he came out swinging about Steph being maybe the greatest point guard of all time and he had all those stats, I was like, oh, I was not expecting that. I was not expecting Magic Johnson to be that just lively on the show and that kind of debatey and also opinionated as well. So, J.J. Redick, lock it up. Signed, sealed, delivered. Going to be the next coach of the Lakers. Stu, 0-82, you ready for it?
Yeah, at this point, I'm ready for it.
I think we need to start. Stu, we may have to send you out internationally to start scouting some of these international prospects to see where the Lakers are going to be in the lottery next year.
Well, for whatever picks they have or are going to have after they probably trade them all for Trae Young.
Yeah. When I was leaving Wells Fargo last night, those Knicks fans, they're crazy. I started to hear when I was in my car, F Trae Young, F Trae Young. I go, they never let this guy just go. Come on, poor Trae Young at this point. Jeez Louise. All right, coming on back with a little onside, offside. Here is the Act Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
Now, the Lakers didn't waste any time firing head coach Darvin Ham after their first-round exit the other day. He won 90 games in his 2 seasons, but after getting to the conference finals a year ago, they lost to Denver again this time in the first round. The Mavericks took control of their first-round series with the Clippers with a 30-point rout in Game 5. They're back home tonight looking to advance. Luka Doncic on a bad knee at 35 points, 10 assists, and 7 rebounds. An incredible performance, but he's already put it behind him and said tonight is a new challenge.
1 out of 2, so we got to go back Dallas, play the same way. We know our fans going to be amazing at home, so we just got to win one more. We didn't do nothing yet.
The Magic will host the Cavaliers, looking to force a trip back to Cleveland for Game 7. Jared Allen has been battling a rib injury, and his status is uncertain after missing yesterday's practice. At Wrigley this afternoon, first time this season, the Cubs are facing a division opponent, and they lost to the Brewers by a score of 3-1 as Joe Ross improved to 4-0. With the victory, Odell Beckham Jr. comes to terms with the Dolphins on a 1-year deal. I'm Rich Ackerman.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on Instagram. Our handle is Infinity Sports Network. That's Infinity Sports Network to follow us on Instagram.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick from the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh, my God, we're back again.
It's time to answer Ask the Pros question of the day, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Alex in LA says, Zach, who do you like in the games tonight? You can submit a question by tweeting at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag Ask the Pros. Pick O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. I'm assuming that Alex means in the association, where we have two matchups tonight with the Cavs and the Magic and the Clippers and the Mavs. But I'm actually going to go hockey tonight. You kept it vague in your question, so I'll go hockey tonight in the picks. I like the Predators to win tonight. I know they blew the game 2 games ago, then they bounced back. I think they force a Game 7. They're on their home ice this evening. Vancouver is up 3-2. And Stars and Golden Knights. Man, the Golden Knights, who were up 2-0 in this series, and then DeBoer's squad won 3 straight. Games in Vegas, tough to pick against Vegas. Stars, though, rolling. I'll take the Golden Knights because it just feels like that this series is supposed to go 7 games. So I think we'll get 2 Game 7s in the NHL with these 2 Game 6s that we do have tonight. But without further ado, I'm not talking about Freddie Adu. Let's end the show out in some style, and we will do so with a little onside, offside. Stu, hit it!
Zach's taking on the most polarizing issues in sports. Which side of the line of scrimmage will he end up on?
Offside. Defense number 69.
It's Onsides, Offsides with Zach Gelb.
All righty. What we got today, Samter?
Well, the Steelers made a pair of contract decisions yesterday, opting not to pick up the 5th-year rookie options for Justin Fields and Najee Harris. Of course, Justin Fields, their new kickoff returner. Now, the former Alabama running back Harris has... So I really didn't realize this until I looked at the stats. He's rushed for over 1,000 yards in each of his first 3 seasons, Najee Harris has.
Yeah.
But the emergence of Jalen Warren has made Harris maybe a little bit more expendable.
Steelers fans really don't like him, which is funny because you talk to Najee Harris, right? You've had him on your shows before, Sam, before working with me. It's just like a really good, solid dude. Yeah. Good personality, but like Steelers fans, they think that there could be something more there. And he had 1,200 yards his first year, the 1,034 yards, and last year 1,035 yards when it comes to rushing the football.
And the big issue is that his yards per carry has been low. It's like 3.7, 3.8, 4.1. So he's not like he's getting big chunks. Jalen Warren, I think it was at 4.6 last year yards per carry. So clearly getting more bang for his buck each time he touches the ball. So onside, offside, the Steelers should keep Harris and pay him top running back money.
Offside, here's why. Well, it depends what top running back money is. Like, if you tell me like a...
No, not Christian McCaffrey money, but I'm talking about like some of these other top running backs, like the Josh Jacobses and the Saquon Barkley level, that whole general vicinity.
Okay,
Maybe the $10 to $12 million a year.
No, I would go offside here. I like Najee Harris. I think he's solid, but I don't think he's great. I don't think he's one of those guys like McCaffrey, a Josh Jacobs, a Jonathan Taylor that you need to pay. I don't think he's an elite running back. I just think he's good, and he's already 26. 3 years in a league, about to go into his fourth year. I would not give him a big-time extension yet. I think he's one of those guys that he could stay in Pittsburgh, and the extension just won't be a big extension. It will be a smaller extension because I don't think the market will be that active as what people think. So the Steelers should keep Harris and pay him top running back money. No, offside.
Offside. Yeah, that's been my issue for my life, a smaller extension. A trio of outcast receivers.
He's talking about his contract, Stu. Making that clear.
My contract, yes.
Well, Stu looked at me, he's like, well, what the heck did he just say?
Yeah. Now, a trio of outcast receivers signed with new teams as OBJ joined the Dolphins, Chase Claypool signed with the Bills, and DJ Shark agreed to a deal with the Chargers. While all three wideouts have had success in the past, it's been quite a few years since any were impactful in the NFL. Onside, offside, none of these receivers will impact their new teams.
Claypool is what could have been. DJ Chark has suffered a few injuries. He's solid. He's fine. Odell can. Because Odell still can play. He's going to get the most open looks that he's ever received in his career because you have two number one wide receivers in front of you in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I think Odell will be fine with the Dolphins. I have no expectations for Claypool. Chark will have like one or two good games, but I think Odell will impact his new team. So none of these receivers will impact their new teams. I'll say one will be Odell, so I will go offside.
Offside. The Knicks moved on to the second round for just the third time since 2000 and will face the 6-seeded Pacers after they beat the Bucks. The Knicks, of course, are led by Jalen Brunson, but no other player averages over 17 points, while Indy has three players averaging over 17, Halliburton, Siakam, and Miles Turner.
Yeah, they play quick.
So onside, offside, this series will go at least 6 games.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I saw Hickey in the newsroom just a moment ago. Oh, by the way, Samter, thank you. You brought in pizza today. I just had a slice of Joe's Pizza. Very good. Good slice, quality slice, fine slice. Nothing great, but solid slice. And I go, Hickey, what do you think about the series? He goes, Knicks in 5. I'm like, 5? I go, can we have a little respect for the Pacers? I think the Knicks win this series. I definitely believe that there's a chance this series goes 7. But at the bare minimum, it's going 6. Like, if the Knicks win in 5 games, and I have a lot of respect for what the Knicks are doing, I would be surprised. Like, man, 5 games, Hickey has no respect. None whatsoever for the Indiana Pacers. So the series will go at least 6 games. Yeah, on sides.
Now, Game 6 of Mavs-Clippers tips off tonight in Dallas with the Mavs leading 3-2, and of course, Kawhi won't play. In his 6 NBA seasons, Luka has gotten past the first round just once, making the conference finals 2 years ago. So onside, offside. If the Mavs win this series, you believe they will fall to OKC in the second round.
Ooh, haven't thought about a prediction there yet. I kind of, though, even though I love Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, can never say that name correctly anymore because I always think of what Jack Stern sent an update to Shai Gilgeous or whatever he called him, Alexander. I don't know. I would probably contemplate warming up to the idea of Luka and Kyrie getting the job done. So if the Mavs win this series, they'll fall to OKC in the second round. I'd actually take the Mavs. So I'm going to go offside.
Offside.
The Suns are a disaster, and their big three of KD, Booker, and Beal is clearly not working. This week, ESPN's Tim McMahon suggested the Suns should trade KD.
I never get by the Tim McMahon, and then you have Dave McMenamin, I think.
Yes.
I always think they're the same person.
Yeah, it's all the same. They might actually be the same. I've never actually seen their faces appear in the same place at the same time. It's like Batman or Superman.
Well, I think Dave McMenamin dates Malika Andrews, I'm pretty sure.
Well, good for him.
Yeah.
That's a fine young lady right there. Well, this week, ESPN's Tim McMahon suggested that the Suns would trade KD and that their first phone call should be to OKC, where KD, of course, began his career. I mean, with the Sonics, but then
I'm
moved to
coming
OKC.
home.
Yeah, exactly.
Coming home. Oh, yeah, I don't think you can sing
So
that
onside, offside, the Thunder, the number one seed in the
you
West,
can't go
should
home?
try to add KD in the offseason.
Yes. Heck yes. Onsides. Now, he wins a championship there. Do we view him as the driver of that? Like, because he's the missing piece. I know it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's team, but that would be a very nice story. Like how LeBron went back and won in Cleveland after winning in Miami. That would be similar. Yeah, I think that would do wonders for KD's legacy.
That'd be his new nickname, the missing piece. He's not the bus driver. He's the missing piece.
The missing piece, yes. The Thunder should try to add KD this offseason on sides. I like that. I don't think it's going to happen, but I like that. All righty. Is that a wrap for today?
Sure, we can try sneak in one more.
Nah.
Okay.
Don't want to throw 100 pounds of crap in a 20-pound suitcase.
I mean, I weigh about 100 pounds. It's perfect, yeah. Are you threatening me to, like, chop me up and throw me into a suitcase? Is this what's happening
I'm
now?
just saying. That's like...
Joe Pesci?
We had a minute left in the show. I'm looking at the way that your next two questions are written. They're long questions.
I could shorten it, but it's all right.
I think it just would have been too much. It would have been trying too much. I think we've done a good job this week. We don't need to go the extra mile. This is just one of those weeks. It was a good week. So that's how we'll conclude it. Thank you to Samter. Thank you to Stu. Thank you to each and every one of you. Thank you to Calvin Booth for joining us, the general manager of the defending champion Denver Nuggets. And we will chat with you on Monday, everybody, at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. Have a fun and safe weekend. This is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We out, everybody. Bye-bye. Peace.